Welcome to Science Lab with Mrs. Keener. Hi everyone. In last week's experiments, we did experiments with air. We showed that it's made of matter. It takes up space, it has properties. But air is made of particles that are so small we can't see them. That's why it looks invisible to us. Today, we're going to do some experiments with some liquids. We're going to see if liquids are also made of small particles of matter. Get a tall, clear glass and fill it with water. We're going to add something colored to it. I'm going to use food coloring. If you don't have food coloring, you can use any other colored liquid. You can use milk, juice, any other liquid that has color of some sort. If you don't have the supplies to do this, watch me demonstrate it. If you do have the supplies and can do this experiment yourself, you can skip over the demonstration. Just skip ahead. Watch it carefully and notice what happens. When you drop something down, there's gravity pulling it down. So how come the food coloring didn't just drop straight down to the bottom of the glass? Or if it was light, it could have just floated on top. But neither of those things is happening. It's spreading out through the whole glass. It's almost as if it's being stirred. Well, it's because of what liquids are and how they're made of tiny particles of matter. The tiny particles of matter in the liquid are always moving around a little bit. So as we add things, they get bumped around. The little bits of water bounce around, bump into the food coloring, and they make everything bounce around a little bit and stir everything up. And the little bits of food coloring are also made of little bits of matter, and those particles get bounced around, and they keep bouncing around until they're all spread out throughout the entire glass. For our next experiment, you're going to need something that has a smell. I'm going to use vinegar, but you can use any liquid with a smell, like a shampoo or soap. That's a liquid, any liquid. Open it up and smell it. Then move it a little bit further away from you and wait a little while. Does the smell eventually get to you? Can you smell it from farther away? Can you smell it from either farther away? When liquids evaporate, little bits of matter move into the air. They bounce around, and sometimes they bounce right into your nose, and that's how you smell things. Liquids are made of tiny particles of matter. Next, let's make a model of one of these tiny particles of matter. Take a small piece of paper, cut it in half, take one of those halves, and cut it in half again. Now you have a quarter. Cut that quarter in half. Now you have an eighth. Keep cutting until you have a piece that's very small. Then keep cutting again. Keep cutting till you have a tiny, tiny, tiny piece, until your piece is so tiny that you can't even cut it anymore. Show me a picture or video of your tiny, tiny piece of matter. And then I want you to imagine that we have the ability to cut it even more. If we could cut this piece of paper into pieces too small to see, that we could only see them with a very powerful microscope. That's the kind of tiny particle that we're talking about that make up the air and the liquid. Share a picture or video with me of your tiny, tiny particle of paper and also your glass of water with the colorful liquid in it. Tell me what you noticed. Tell me what you wonder about. Please share in Flipgrid.